Good Friday evening, meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center with a severe thunderstorm update. We do not have a severe thunderstorm warning in play here till 7:30 for parts of Leon and Gadsden counties. This storm looks pretty impactful, so I decided to go ahead here and also just simulcast over on our Facebook platform and on YouTube as well. Now, we'll simulcast for some storms this time of year, mini storms, but not all of them if they're maybe just right on that severe limit and maybe in an area that's not as populated. But this is a little, maybe right on the limit or a little higher than that, but it's in a more populated area. So that's why we're on here. It's the thunderstorm warning. The information from the Weather Service, it is for eastern Gadsden, central Leon until 7:30. At 6:54, a severe thunderstorm was located over Midway, moving southeast at about 15 miles per hour. Locations included in this warning are not just limited to Quincy, Midway, Havana, parts of Tallahassee, Tallahassee Community College, Fremont, Florence, Scotland, Santa Clara, Sadie Rest, Quincy Airport, Wetumpka, Brantsville, Forest Meadows Park, Lake Talquin, Orchard Park there as well. Orchard Pond, I should say, as well as Gibson and the Killearn Lakes area. So again, we're watching this here carefully. We'll go ahead and put on some of the wind energy here within this storm, and we're not seeing maybe quite as much, but that's because we're also getting closer to the radars. There could be some weakening here, but that's not just the only factor we're looking at. We're also looking at maybe the radar here, looking a little lower down in the axis, and we've got a report in here as of a few minutes ago of a tree down along, it looks like Blue Star Highway there near one of the local roadways. So just wanting to be careful there. Not going to continue to happen with this storm as it does move into toward Tallahassee over just the next little bit. So we're going to continue to watch that very carefully. I know peak gust here on the roof now of 34 miles an hour there at the Love Building, the National Weather Service in Tallahassee, and 34 knots at Tallahassee Airport as well. And we're watching this now technically as we get in here. I do not believe FSU is technically under this warning. It is pretty close. Let me check this. Yeah, there's the stadium right there. They're not technically under the warning here, the main FSU campus, it doesn't look like. But they're getting some gustier winds here out ahead of things, it seems, out ahead of the main axis. So that's interesting. There's tropical force gusts there to about 39 miles per hour at the airport, at the Love Building as well. The airport, they're right on the edge here too, so getting some of these winds out ahead of the main storm. I know Talquin's now, according to the chat, reported over 1,300 outages. There are 1,300 customers. That means they're not with power, without power there in eastern Gadsden County. So that's the information coming out of that area right now. Again, severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect till 7:30 this evening. We're continuing to look at the latest scans. You see Norfolk and Midway getting in some of these winds. They did show up as a little stronger here a moment ago, but again, that may not just be because of weakening. It may not really be weakening. It might just be because it's getting so close to the radar site right now. It's having a hard time scanning things. And I know now it wouldn't help us too much, but the Valdosta radar down right now. We could try to look at this in a different way, but that's down. We could go to Fort Rucker. I think that's a little too far away, so we're going to stick with the Tallahassee radar right now as we continue to watch things here in toward Leon County. And I know we had those gusty winds on the FSU campus. So let's go ahead and look above the stadium right now. We'll go ahead and pop up our camera there at the Florida State campus. We'll go ahead and see what is happening there here in just a second. I know I've switched some things around here today in our system because over on our platforms here a little while ago, we were on, of course, with an update on the storm system. I meant to show a camera there out of Hofstra. So I'm going to have to put this into the computer, I think, here. So let's go ahead and try to re-add this if I can. I will try to go ahead and give you that information here as the situation does evolve. So this situation here is one that is evolving. I know this kind of just came up on me. I apologize. But there's a good look at things. So we're watching that here. We're going to continue to track that. So that is the camera there from the stadium. We're continuing to look there in toward Tallahassee. It's a good view, so I'll pop it back up here in just a second once we get this situated on the screen here and structured just right. It's a fluid situation as all severe weather is here. So I'm going to try to get this at least somewhat structured right here in the scene, and we'll go ahead and try to pop this up in just a moment. So it's not going to be perfect. I haven't had time to align things here just like I would like, but we're going to try to do this pretty good here and try to give you that vantage point so you know what's happening there across that region. So I'm going to check one more setting here, and we're going to try to go ahead and do this. It's not going to be great, but we're going to try to go ahead and at least give you somewhat of a vantage point here on what is happening at FSU. There's a look there. You see there what is happening with the storminess. It's really dark there above the stadium. I mean, that just tells the story for everybody there at home. So, again, that is FSU. That is Leon County right now. And just be safe out there. You could have some lightning out ahead of the main axis. So, the warning technically doesn't include campus. But, I mean, that's a really telling shot here. A really telling shot as we are looking at that situation there at the stadium there. So, just keeping our eyes on that. The severe warning does continue here for another few minutes till 7:30. In fact, we'll watch to see if an extension is required. It's hard to say as we're not getting the best vantage point here on the Doppler since we are getting this accident to go close to it now. Not able to get the best vantage point here on what is happening now. In terms of power outages, we were already alluding to it, but over 1,000 without power there in toward Gadsden County. According to PowerOutage.us, they have it at 1,275 customers, and we have 106 customers noted here in toward Leon County. So just trying to give you some perspective here. And if you're tuning in from the Jacksonville area right now, we do have some strong storms. Nothing severe right now. And this is our first severe storm we've had here in quite a few days across our region. But a strong storm here as we look out toward Gainesville, for instance, out toward the Gainesville area. We're seeing that. I do see, though, they cleared the warning for Gadsden and Leon. That's good news. That just came down the wire. So apparently those winds maybe were short-lived there reaching the surface, as we're not really in an entirely favorable atmosphere for severe weather. I think tomorrow, as we look down toward north central Florida, I think will be more favorable here for this action. So the severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled by the National Weather Service, but for a few minutes there in a pretty populated area overall here, we were seeing some gusty winds showing up on the Doppler radar. The storm appears to be on a weakening trend as it moves further into Leon County, according to the Weather Service. So they've canceled the warning here. That's great news. We'll continue to watch things. I know it's still pretty warm there, 91. It was 96 a little while ago as we were on earlier, talking about the hot temperatures on our special report here on Tropical Storm Faye, as that is impacting the northeast here. But now down to 91. You see Gainesville with the strong accent around down at 78 now. And then you see some of these other readings here, Putnam and the Flagler as well, a little cooler. But other areas not getting that rain cool air, and they're still pretty warm. And those heat index values, they're sticking up there. 102 in Tallahassee, 104 as we get down there closer toward the coast there. We're talking, of course, as we get toward Dixie County, for instance, you see toward Cross City, the heat index. And that just kind of tells the story. Still some of those readings in the hundreds here past 7 o'clock. Now, these observations might be just from before 7, but you get the idea here. We're getting to that time frame. It's still pretty warm here. So we could still have some more storms developing. More storms tomorrow. I think a better chance for some severe weather tomorrow with some dry air mixing in. And I'll continue to watch. We're also watching Faye while we're covering storms on our special report earlier on Faye. I did want to go ahead and just mention Faye here as well for anybody wondering what's happening real quick in toward that area. You do see we have this storm system. It's not as well defined here on the imagery any longer on the radar. The downpours aren't as heavy, and that is some good news for these areas here. We did have quite a few flash flood warnings in play earlier down toward the New York area, down toward Philadelphia, and there were some issues there with some water. Unfortunately, some cars getting stuck in that water, so people need to remember to turn around, don't drown in those situations. Haven't heard of any fatalities necessarily, but just going ahead and just wanting you to be on the safe side in this scenario here. And as the storm does move along, we'll take a look here at the track of the situation here. You can see we're taking a look here at our 5 p.m. advisory on Tropical Storm Faye. You do see 50-mile-per-hour winds. That pressure there, 998 millibars. That movement north at 14 miles per hour. And you will be able to see here what is happening as this does impact some of those states toward the north. Nothing extreme, but maybe a little bit of flooding here as we get maybe into toward upstate New York, for instance. We're also seeing some impacts, some gusty winds here as well. Isolated tornado can't be ruled out. Talking about states like Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine as well. So we're watching here. We're going to continue to track it, continue to give you the latest information as the scene does evolve there, but not warning a cut-in with that. It doesn't seem any more cut-ins. We were just cutting in for the severe weather that evolved pretty quickly, and it started to weaken there in the Tallahassee area. That's the good news. So let's go ahead and pull up the Doppler radar technology again. You are seeing what is happening here with Faye. The winds, you can see them spiraling around the center. Still getting some winds there. As I put on some more wind information, you'll be able to see we're getting some pretty gusty winds here around New York, for instance. Near tropical force there. So just have to be careful in this area. Kennedy Airport there, 31 knots recently. 33 knots off toward the east. So still some gusty winds, could get some more power outages there. But right now, not too big of a threat. Had some damage reports down toward this region here, as we've been talking about before. The warning was issued even a gust of 45 there at the Quincy Airport. But luckily, nothing too substantial with this overall. So that's the good news based on what we've seen so far. It got strong for a few minutes. Did get a tree down there across the highway and toward areas further east toward eastern Gadsden County and some power outages, but things not as strong right now. Still pretty nasty still. Remember, when thunder roars, you want to go indoors in the Tallahassee area there. As we look at that radar again, the winds on some other modes here, not showing up as well. Of course, we're also again closer to the radar, but not showing up too strong. That's the good news. Looking toward Gainesville, Putnam County, we're watching some wind around Hawthorne. So let's go pop up our overall radar here. We'll pop on this view just to get you ready in case there's a warning here in north central Florida. So we go ahead and give you a heads up. We are seeing some winds here around Hawthorne, and these are in the 25-mile-an-hour range right now. So not really enough to warrant a severe weather warning, but something that could cause maybe a few little things to fall there, maybe a limb, something like that. Not too big of a deal, but we'll watch, make sure nothing strengthens on us here. Maybe some small hail indicated here as well, based on the Doppler radar algorithms. But I think that pretty much does it for now. If there's more warnings we need to cut in for, we will. But thanks so much for tuning in. For the time being, I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center.